join me. Don't forget, you can catch the podcast beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern Time every day. Every day you can catch the podcast, and we'll best of on the weekend. Take a break, and we will come back. Snowman in the morning, back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Man, having a good day this morning. Thursday Night Football on Fox at 8 p.m. Redskins and the Minnesota Vikings. That'll come your way at 8 p.m. on Fox, as well as the Redskins Radio Network and the Vikings Radio Network, with one of my favorite voices of all time, Mr. Paul Allen, delivering the call for the Minnesota Vikings. People say I get excitable when I do a game. You ought to listen to Paul Allen, and I mean that in love. I totally mean that in love. Paul Allen will have the call for the Minnesota Vikings tonight. I got Andy Dorff on the way, and Andy Dorff is here, and he joins me right now on the hotline. Yo, Dorff, what up?
Good morning, Snowman. Pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Pleasure to talk to you as well, man. And, folks, I'm going to be teaming up with Dorff this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Radio, the Dorff on Sports Weekend Edition. I love being on. I'm going to team up with him Sunday morning. Man,
that is right.
You made your picks for the NBA Finals, and I can't argue either way. The Clippers and the Bucks. I look, I argue, but you put a caveat out there as well. Both teams need to stay healthy.
Well, of course. I think that, when you look at the way that the NBA is structured this year, Snowman, this is probably the most anticipated season that I can remember, and I've been around for 46 years, so that's a pretty long time if you ask me, and
Yeah.
I'm excited, man. I'm really excited about the season. Obviously, those Milwaukee Bucks and the Houston Rockets will be going at it on TNT later tonight, but look, man, health is key in any sport, as you know and I know, and truth be told, Giannis is one of the most exciting players in the league, if not the most exciting player in the league, and you got to feel good about the Milwaukee Bucks this season, but it's not going to be easy. And I'm debating with someone the other day on Facebook, and people are talking about LeBron having a cakewalk in the East, and the East is easy. If I remember correctly, the East was terrible last year, Snowman, and who won the NBA championship? The Toronto Raptors.
Raptors.
Well, let's not talk about how terrible teams are when the truth is there's not a lot of separation. These guys are all pros, and they all have one common goal, and that's to win an NBA championship.
Absolutely right. Andy Dorff joining me. You can find him on Twitter at Dorff on Sports, talking NBA to start this chat here. I've asked this about so many teams that are competing for an NBA title. There are so many being swept under the rug, including the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, man, the Toronto Raptors have that pedigree, right? They went to the championship. I don't think they have the same punch. Obviously, you don't have Kawhi Leonard with you, but you do have that experience. You got Nick Nurse, a guy that is a really good coach, and you saw it game one, man. They were trailing the whole game against the New Orleans Pelicans, and at the end of the game, Siakam and Van Vliet, there's those two guys, man, making all kinds of noise and making buckets and making things happen for the Toronto Raptors. So I wouldn't discard them at all, but I do think it's going to be very difficult. It's really tough to repeat, and especially under these circumstances when you've got to do it without Kawhi Leonard. So I think they're going to be a good, formidable team, maybe a top four team potentially, but I don't expect the same type of thing to come from the Toronto Raptors this season.
Do you see any wild cards? Do you see any teams that didn't make the playoff last year sneaking in? Because I got one on the radar.
You know what? I don't know on that right now, to be honest with you. I think it's a little early. I say let's give ourselves about 20 games and see who's a contender at this point. But looking at it, obviously Philadelphia is going to be good with Embiid one more year. Simmons coming around, different chemistry there. No Butler obviously in the mix, so I do think that Philadelphia is going to be good. New Jersey, I don't know about the Nets. I'm not sure about the Brooklyn Nets. I still call them New Jersey, but Brooklyn Nets.
Don't be mad. I call them the New Jersey Nets too. That's what I grew up watching.
Yeah. Look, man, I'm not sure on them. I know Kyrie went off in game one and was a little bit emotional, but I do think it's going to be difficult, obviously, for him without Kevin Durant. So.
Yes.
But I do like the way that the NBA is structured. It's no longer big threes and big fours. You got a lot of big twos. And I do think that when you look at the history of the NBA, two great players and then 3 or 4 or 5 different guys that are role players is actually the formula for success. And that has kind of been, I would say, altered a little bit over the past few seasons with what the Golden State Warriors are doing. But I think it's back to where it should be.
Yeah.
And again, man, I'm excited. I really am.
I am also. Andy Dorff joining me. I'll tell you my team on the radar. And yes, it's only one game in. But after the way I saw them compete last night in Charlotte, I will go with your caveat and say give it 20 games. And I know part of this is from the heart because of my hometown. I still say you got to watch the Bulls.
I had a feeling that's where you were going to go, and they lost that game. That was unbelievable, to be honest with you. I didn't know that P.J. Washington could shoot like that. So we learned something. I mean, that guy had 7 3-pointers. I don't think anybody in that kind of output from him, especially from distance. So that's impressive for Charlotte. But You know what? The Bulls do have a lot of guys, man. They got some ballers, and I do think they're going to be fun. And it's interesting that you mentioned that because I happen to be going back to the great state of Wisconsin, which is where I'm from. More important, I grew up in Milwaukee, a suburb of, but I am going back the 14th of November, and I will check out the Bucks who are playing the Chicago Bulls that night. I get in at 6 o'clock, Snowman. I'll be at the game by 7 o'clock. That's how the man rolls, man.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly how the Dorf man rolls, and I'll expect a full report from you because I will be checking out that game. Bulls and Bucks, November the 14th. Let's get some football in. Thursday night football tonight. The Minnesota Vikings and the Washington Redskins. Vikings at 5-2. Do they have a chance to win the division?
Absolutely, they do. You know, they're one game behind the Green Bay Packers, and you know what? The Green Bay Packers have played pretty well. I think that seen out of Vikings over the past couple of weeks is Kirk Cousins and these other receivers that were so unhappy, suddenly pretty happy, and the numbers have changed quite a bit. Everybody's getting their numbers. You know, Delvin Cook can run that ball like nobody's business, and he's done a great job. Maybe one of the best, maybe a guy that's kind of a little bit under the radar because of what Christian McCaffrey's been doing all season long. But Delvin Cook is no joke, man. That guy's a beast. And then, you know, you throw the two wide receivers, and I know Thielen's not going to be able to play. He's out for Thursday night, which will even make Diggs that much more of a target. Don't forget about Rudolph. They're tight end, man. They've got a ton of makers, and we're just kind of waiting for Kirk Cousins to become quarterback, right? I mean, is he going to earn that $84 million that the Vikings are giving him? And over the past week, I've seen a different kind of chemistry from the Minnesota Vikings on offense, and we already know about that defense, Snowman. That's a great defense. So, absolutely, they are definitely the biggest threat to the Green Bay Packers right now to win that division, 100%.
Speaking of threats to the NFC, talked about New Orleans, talked about Green Bay, talked about Minnesota. How about the San Francisco 49ers?
Man, oh, man. The 49ers doing it with a no-name running game, first and foremost. And pick up Emmanuel Sanders to give you a little bit better wide receiving core. I love it, man. I think that's a great move by the 49ers in general. And, yeah, what a start from the 49ers. They haven't played the greatest competition. But with that being said, you either have the New England Patriots. And you know what? They're both two teams that are still undefeated in the league, and that's impressive. I don't care who you're playing. And on the other point, too, the 49ers have already played 4 games on the road, man. So they're 4-0 on the road, and that, again, that's super impressive at this point. I don't care who you're playing. You can only play your schedule. So they've done a great job of going out there and playing football over everybody. And, you know, people will make a big deal out of the 9-0 win over Washington. It was sloppy. It was nasty. It was a really good go out there and play football. So the fact that they did come out with the win, great job by the San Francisco 49ers, and I think they're going to be interesting. We'll see how they do as the season unfolds a little bit better, and they do play a little stiffer competition. They haven't played anybody in their division. Seattle's not bad. The Rams are going to be coming for them, and look out, man. The Cardinals have won 3 straight. So all of a sudden, this division looks a lot better.
But at the same time, the 49ers have just taken off. They've won their first 6. Everybody below them, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, are gearing up to play the 49ers. Niners already have one division win. That was over the Rams. They beat them 20-7 2 weeks ago. They've yet to see Seattle. They've yet to see Arizona, and Arizona also the 49ers fits. That division will not be decided, I believe, until December.
Again, man, I don't. A lot of these divisions are going to be decided until December, and you know, you can call it across the board. You know, you can call it parity, you can call it mediocrity, you can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I agree with you 100%, man. We decided, even if the team's out 6-0, like the Patriots, for instance, you know, they're out their way ahead. You think, but Buffalo Bills only have 1 loss, and they played them pretty well. So I agree with you, man. Nothing will be decided until December. However, some of these routes to get there may be a little bit easier than others, and obviously we're talking about the New England Patriots. I mean, they play their schedule too, but They play the Jets twice. They play Miami twice. I mean, come on, man. It's somewhat of a joke, the competition that they have to play week out. But again, their schedule is their schedule. They go out there and they do a great job of winning those games.
They do. They do indeed. Back to San Francisco for a moment, and you mentioned something that the 49ers were devoid of for the last couple of years. That's a running game. Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida, they've been tearing it up.
Man, oh man, like I said, a couple of no-name guys, but at the end of the day, they're getting the job done in a major way. So kudos to them. They've got a great offensive scheme. They've got a great defensive scheme. And right now, the 49ers are absolutely a contender, not a pretender at this moment in time. Snowman.
Talking with Andy Dorff. He hosts the Dorff on Sports Weekend Show. I'll be joining him this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. A couple of hours of great sports talk. It's always a pleasure to be on with them. To be on with you this weekend, my man.
Oh, man, you know I love talking to you, man. You and I can sit here and rap about sports 24/7, man, so it's pretty simple.
It really is. Folks, don't forget tomorrow, Mike Debate and I will make our picks, and I'll make sure I'll send my picks to you so we can get some guest pickers on, you know, just to have some fun with it. How about it?
I think it's a good idea, Snowman. I love it.
All right, we'll make it happen. Andy Dorff joining me. Check him out on Twitter at Dorff on Sports. And again, the Dorff on Sports Weekend Edition. You can find it on Sirius Radio and your favorite app. Always good to have the Dorffmeister on with me. Thanks a lot, brother.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk at you Sunday, if not before.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Don't forget Thursday night football tonight from U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Washington Redskins and the Minnesota Vikings. Let's see how good the Vikings. Well, they get the Redskins, and then they'll dive back into their division. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun tonight. I'll have a wrap up of that tomorrow. Speaking of which, going to take one final break, and then I will leave y'all with some kind words and some inspirational words and stuff that's coming up today, tomorrow, the next day, and every day after that. Catch the podcast at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on your favorite app, including Speaker, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, among others. The final part of Snowman comes your way in a deuce.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Did you not get the memo? Holding on smoke!
I want to thank y'all for joining me on this tripped out Thursday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Let me thank my guest, Marquette Sutton, who joined me during hour one, Thomas Murphy, who joined me during hour one, and Chris Dietz and Andy Dorff, who joined me during hour of today's spectacular. I can't thank y'all enough for hopping on to the show. I appreciate it. If you would like to advertise with our program, we have some great monthly rates for you, starting as low as $100 per month. Drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. That's snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. And we're working so we can stream live on LinkedIn as well. I've seen some people do it. I'll have the phone lines open tomorrow. There's your call-in number for tomorrow, 773-672-3208. Game 3 of the World Series is Friday. The nation's capital as the Houston Astros and the Washington Nationals battle in Game 3. Also on Friday, the Community Radio Network and Arena Sportsnet Carolina has some high school for you. It's the Cleveland Rams and the Clayton Comets in the Battle of Clayton and the battle for conference supremacy. One team will go 3-0 in conference play. And I got to send a big shout out to my dear friend Bill Schoening, who called a great game last night between the Knicks and the Spurs. Coming up tomorrow, I'll have some picks with my buddy Mike as we will take you through week 8, and we want you guys to pick with us, okay? That's coming up tomorrow. I'll wrap up Thursday night football between the Vikings and the Redskins. I'll have a preview of the Cleveland Rams and the Clayton Comets. I'm looking to get one of the coaches on the line tomorrow morning. We'll have some calls from you fans as well as some emails and stuff in the feedback, which I will publish later today. And I'll get my buddy Shane Lake, our super producer, on the line tomorrow to talk some sports. Let's talk some sports tomorrow, folks. That's coming up tomorrow on Snowman in the Morning. And a few final words for today. And I know I say this all the time, but it bears repeating. Coming from a fellow who battled depression, even though a lot of people don't believe that I battled depression, but I do. I do on a daily basis. And the best people around you are positive people. The best people around you that can be around you are folks that want to see you succeed, are folks that want to see you do better, that folks that want to see you do well. One of the most important people in my life, and I say it all the time, and I'm going to continue to say it, is my beautiful wife. Every step of the way, she's encouraging me. She's letting me encourage her. We encourage each other. And that's what I want you guys to do today. Encourage each other. Be there for each other. Talk to each other. Communication is key. Man, if you don't know communication is key, then you know it now. It really is. And it's a sunny day here. I hope it's sunny in your life, and I hope it continues to be sunny in your life. Talk to each other. Encourage each other. Build each other up. Bring each other down. That's why people go through depression, because they get torn down verbally, emotionally, spiritually. Happened to me, happened to a few other people. I'm one of the few that'll admit it aloud. And then start to heal. One of the interviews I will play next week, I did for a series called Healing from DV. Next week, you'll also hear it on the podcast. Speaking of Snowman Unfiltered, the new episode drops tonight. And with that in mind, I'm going to close up shop. I'm going to get out of here. I got some stuff to do, but I hope y'all join me tomorrow. Until then, have a great day. God bless. Move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I am, and I hope we all are too. Till tomorrow, Snowman out.